This is a very interesting topic in the sense that many people are experiencing this phase without your knowledge of it. So you started reading books, you started consuming content, you begin to see results in your life, you started influencing people. The knowledge was so much that it began to leak and influence the people around you. You were so motivated, so confident about your abilities that you position yourself in situations where you give advice, where you share your infinite knowledge. Fast forward 2 years from now and you're terrified to speak on matters that pertains to life. You're not confident. You look at your days of glory and you wish you could go back to that time. So what is the difference between a 1 year, 2 year version of you? What is the difference between your current situation now and your previous version? I'll tell you in a second. You began taking action. That's what changed. I know it might sound counterintuitive that I'm supposed to take action. How do I grow if I don't take action? Well, you're right. But when you begin to take action, everything you believe is tested. You can't say you're not you can't say you're honest if you've not been placed in a scenario to display your honesty. Majority of people like to virtual signal virtues. They like to virtue signal. Oh, I'm very honest. Oh, I'm disciplined. The question is, to what degree? To what degree are you honest? To what degree are you disciplined? If I say to you, I'm going to take your friend's mom, I'll give you $1 million not to tell him. $1 million not to tell him, is the mug made of gold? You know what? It's fine. Take the mug, I'll buy him 20, I'll do something else. I'm not going to tell him. You take the $1 million. The reality of it is, as trivial as you see that scenario to be, you just compromise on your core values, ultimately making you not a honest person. So whenever you claim a virtue, the real question is, to what degree are you virtuous? To what degree do you have that virtue? And is it directed in a positive, is it directed positively? Majority of people say I'm not consistent, I lack motivation, but you're consistent in failing failing on achieving those goals you set. You've been consistent in not doing your to-do list. So you have that virtue of consistency, but it's positioned towards a wrong outlet. Back to our Now I told you I was going to tell you why taking action is the cause of your current predicament. Juxtaposed between the most confident years of your life, it was those days when you were learning, you were consuming content, and all you had to do was to share. Let me give you a story that puts context, that gives context to what I'm about to share. So years ago, I would consume content, read some books, memorize a few quotes, learn the vocabulary, and I would speak, position myself to give advice, do this, go out, teach people. And I noticed something very unique. The people I was giving advice were making progress with their life, and I seemed to be stagnated in one position, only accumulating knowledge after knowledge. And after 2 years of working in that path without the results that attest to my knowledge, especially financially, it dawned upon to me that I am valuable, not productive. So it took me 2 years to learn that I am valuable but not productive. What's the difference? Value is something you have to offer. Value is something you can offer. For instance, say I'm good at tennis or I'm good at singing. That's a value. I can offer it to someone. But as long as I keep using it to, suit my psychological ego, as long as it's not used to serve anyone else and position it in such a way that is commoditizable, then it's just a habit. Productivity, on the other hand, is when you take this value, brand it, refine it, and serve to a targeted audience. That's where value and productive, that's the intersection between value and productivity. When it is commoditizable, I immediately I found out that the reason for my predicament, I immediately got to work. Started doing X, started doing that, started doing this. I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the reality of it is you are valuable, not productive. This still doesn't answer the question of why action is the result of the current predicament. Now, when you begin taking action, your body is not accustomed to failure. It is easy to give advice. It is easy to say, as a man thinketh, so he is. You're 5 months in, you're 1 year in. Why hasn't your thought materialized? Why have you been oscillating between not motivated, despair, motivated, faith? Why have you been shuttling between those levels? Why have you been shuttling between those negative and positive cadres? Exactly, because it's easy to give advice, but in the presence of action, just like the example I gave you, in the presence of opportunity, it reveals your true belief system. It reveals your core values. If you say you are disciplined, what happens after you posted 400 content or you made 400 cold calls and no one is giving you positive feedback and fatigue creeps in when you're about to get up early in the morning? Do you still get up or do you put the shit on? What happens if you're giving it your best and the result doesn't seem to be forthcoming? What happens when the landlord is about to throw you apart, throw you out of the apartment, and you have zero finances except a good brain, except an idea, except an innovation to back up your existence? What happens in those scenarios? Are you still motivated? I don't know, perhaps. What happens? So you have to be very careful in what you do. Be very careful. Very careful. Now you've seen the reason for your current predicament. You began taking action and you are not seeing the result that pertains to your current situation. How do you surmount this obstacle? The only way you surmount this obstacle, only way to surmount this obstacle is to believe in your vision. Have faith that what you're going to do or what you're doing is going to materialize, that what you're doing will pay off in the long run. Do not give up permanent dreams for temporary fun. I know your peers' lives seem desirable now. I know what everybody is doing, the parties, the clubs, the women, everything seems desirable while you are in that apartment focusing on your brand. I know everything might seem desirable now, but I guarantee you, in the long run, it's going to make sense. It was one of the richest people in Africa here, Kostari. He gave a very good example about his life, which I found relevant to the conversation at hand. He said, years ago when he was serving under someone like an apprentice, it's a very prevalent model, especially here in Africa, where someone from the village would serve a master for 5 to 7 years, and after when the duration elapses, the master settles in with an amount of money agreed on the contract to go and start his own business. So that's a very prevalent model. So he said he was under something like that, and when students would pass, that's people that went to school, when students would pass and see him sleeping under a bench, they would laugh. Look at him, they'll giggle while passing, mocking him. So one day, he did something very interesting. He put his hand in his mouth while they were laughing and was like, 7 years from now, I'll employ you. 7 years from now, I'll employ you. Yeah, so I found that to be very interesting. So whenever you feel down, whenever you feel like you want to give up or nothing is making sense, just remember the story of that young man and put your hand behind your mouth and laugh at the situation. As counterintuitive as it might seem, just do it. It will help reinvigorate that faith in you. Yes. As always, my friends, we've come to the end of this one. I'll wrap this with a very famous Bible quote from the book of Sirach. It said, as gold is put through the furnace to bring out its value, the human character is put through humiliation, or the test of human character is humiliation. So whenever you are in a scenario that everything seems messed up, whenever you are in a season where everything you're doing is, in my own words, bringing down your reputation, you're a very high quality individual and you're being reduced to mocking flaws. Whenever you are in the scenario where humiliation is imminent, I want you to understand that the test of your character is being brought out, is being tested through humiliation. As always, my friend, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.